Welcome back, everyone. LanceScurv here. I'm in a very sentimental mood right now. I'm not one who lives in the past, but the sweet past is something that's a part of me, my upbringing, and my cherished memories. And I'll say it this way. We've all been raised differently. Some of us have really bad memories, and I feel for you. And some of us have good memories in a mixture. And our past makes us or helps to form us into who we are today. And yes, a lot of us have unresolved issues that carry over into the present, sometimes into old age, and over our whole life. But today, I got a lot accomplished today, and I'm always deep in thought. And when I got into my studio, I had a few things that I could have talked about, but I wanted to talk about what I'm feeling and how sweet my memories are of growing up. And my spirit led me to do what I call music therapy. And we all listen to songs and we all listen to things on this video platform that I will not name. I have a love-hate relationship with YouTube, so I just said it, right? But, there's still a lot of good things. And for me, I have a contentment, not just now, but a certain type of contentment that I've had all of my life. And I began to realize that this sense of contentment that I had and I didn't realize I had it, you just have it. But I know growing up, it put off a lot of people that they didn't know what it was, but it wasn't like I had $1 million. It wasn't like I had 5 luxury cars. It wasn't like I had anything obvious to many people that I've crossed paths with that have begun to dislike or despise for no reason whatsoever. But I had this thing about me and in me. And when I meditate and come out of myself, I'm not saying I astral project or anything like that, but when you have the ability to look at your life, to really look at your life like a spiritual drone, okay? Imagine your dwelling, whether it's an apartment building, a private home, wherever it may be. Imagine a drone flying up in the sky and the view that you would have of your house or your dwelling. You see your neighborhood, you see how your house fits into it, and you have a different perspective. So when I do my music therapy, and not just when I do that, but I come out of myself and I actually look into my life at the things I've been through, the attributes that those experiences have given me, and analyzing myself. Now, it's not about being into yourself in a narcissistic way. It's meditation with purpose. Some say when you meditate, you just open your mind and let it go wherever it wants to go. Well, you can do that, but you can also meditate and dissect issues of the past or good times, or for me, a level of thankfulness for the parents that I've been blessed to have. Even with the flaws that I can see now that I'm older, in my spiritual drone looking back, nothing major, but they're human, right? And some would say they were human. Well, they were part of the human journey, and they passed the baton of a lot of things on to me that live on to a day that they on this level haven't seen. And it's a warmth and contentment that I have that was passed down to me from them. And on the upbringing level, my room that was private, they would knock before they'd open and they would ask permission. That alone, right? That respect from your parents alone. And I do have a brother, although I'm the only product of my parents. My brother has another father. So it was a dual kind of thing, even though he was 11 years older than me and, he had his addictions. He wasn't around all the time. So I had the advantage of really having a choice if I wanted to go out into the neighborhood and play with friends, which there was an abundance of them, or staying in my room or into the basement or anywhere in the house and enjoy lots of quiet time. Just no interruptions, deep in thought. So I've always been this way. And my home was quiet, no drama. So I can really zone out. And my imagination was truly developed in those developmental years. And so one of the songs that I played just a little while ago was Dr. Buzzard's original Savannah Band. And they were known back in 1976. I think that's when the album dropped. For the song Cherchez la Femme, I'll Play the Fool, Sour and Sweet, and so many other songs. And that album was an all-time hit. I bought that album at 13 years old. My friend who lived across the street, Angelo, who we speak and text every day, he had it too. We memorized every word on every song. We would take long walks and we're sitting here, singing the song and in our own way, in our own comical way. And I was always known for changing the words around in the song and sometimes being a little adult, a little lewd sometimes, when the hormones are hitting you. And, I have a whole catalog, so to say. My friends know I would never repeat some of those songs, but they were funny. I would never sing like that or do that in front of my parents or any person who was older, grown folks. But we had good, clean fun. And I just love the atmosphere of that time. Yes, there were murders going on. Yes, there were wars. People were on drugs. You had poverty. You had all of those things. But even those things that were happening then, it didn't seem to be as severe as it is today. There was always a happy time to look forward to, like in the outside world. So my world at that time, my father exposed me to so much in the world that I wasn't curious about it. And that's why he did it. So if ever I had some type of inner frustration, then I wouldn't go the wrong way because I knew it. I'm going to say it again for the sake of this expression. My father would take me to these abandoned buildings and you'd see these big drums with fire coming out of it. It was spooky. And you'd see some figures sitting around it. And these are guys sitting around in the cold weather, but the fire kept them a little warm. But these guys were heroin addicts. And my father would walk up to them, and they knew him. And looking back, I'm quite sure that my father might have slipped them a couple of dollars to tell their story to me, to pretty much scare me, but get me hip to what was going on. So I'm not going to go into the details, but the one that stuck with me is one of the guys who said he came home and found his wife in the bed with his best friend. And as he walked toward the bedroom door, I'll say it this way to keep it decent, they both were approaching their peak and saying some really strong, intimate, somewhat loving, passionate words to each other that he heard and it blew his mind. Well, the best friend left and never came back. The wife he divorced, he didn't hurt or anything, but he kept that inside. He began to drink really bad, lost his job, found himself using drugs, and eventually on the street like he is now. Very intelligent guy. I might have been maybe 8 years old at that time. My father took me around, showed me the number spots, gambling spots, took me around some of the hustlers that gave me good advice on staying in school and all of that good stuff. Took me to a whorehouse, so I saw what was going on there. It didn't take me into the room to see what was going on, but the girls that were there were talking to me, and they told me, they said, man, you're a handsome young man. You know what? Take your time with the women, because the wrong woman will break your heart and send you down into a bottomless pit of sorrow. Work on yourself, build yourself up. You got a good father here. I was like, wow. So I had experiences on that level that kind of blocked up any curiosity to go and try things out. I saw the effects of drugs by what it did to my brother. He's alive to this day somewhere in New York City. That's a relationship that I always yearned to have, and it was always beyond my grasp. The times that he wasn't using, which was less than not, you know. So I began to play this song from Dr. Buzz's original Savannah Band. And the one I played was Sour and Sweet, but all of them was sweet to me. And maybe a month can't go by where I don't send one of the songs to my friend Angelo, even though he knows the song, and he'll listen to it, and then we'll listen to it like it's brand new. I would play those songs over and over. And the instruments, the depth, the big band, Caribbean soul kind of fusion that they had, it was fabulous. I'll put the link below if you want to listen to the album or any one of those songs. And for a kid who had an imagination like me, who loved to draw, who loved to just work my imagination. You know, I didn't get into bodybuilding at that time or lifting weights at that time. I think it came a year after. But even then, when I got into that, I had pictures of boxers on the wall, pictures of bodybuilders on the wall, artwork of things that I drew. I drew a face of Muhammad Ali and it came out perfect. I don't know what happened to that, but my heroes. And as I got into bodybuilding training, I still followed boxing like I do both today. And my father and my mother were my heroes, but to have those athletic, larger than life heroes was very important. Very, very important. Muhammad Ali was like, he was the thing for me, you know? The way he talked, the way he looked, it was comical. And I believe his presence in the world, not just as a boxer, but just as his personality and the influence. There were so many kids who probably were tempted to not do the right thing, and they see him and just got influenced to do the right thing, you know? And this is why we need heroes, not just sports figures who make a lot of money and the kids want to aspire to make all of this money and stuff, but to know how to relate to people. And I had a lot of people, distinguished people within my mother's circles and my father's. But since my mother was a graduate of Juilliard and sung and traveled the world singing, and the people that she knew, the dignified Black people that she knew, that I had a chance to sit around when I went with her to her rehearsals. And it wasn't just singing, it was, you know, the dancing, the creative dancing, the spoken word. There's one woman who probably none of you ever heard of before. Her name was Martha Wilkinson, and I'd say she had to be in her maybe 60s or 50s when I was a kid. And she was a dramatic reader and a spoken word artist before you called it a spoken word artist. And when my mother and the group that she was in would have their concerts, you'd have varied performances that were so fulfilling. And they called themselves the Lyric Art Group. Long time ago. But just to be around them on the weekend, or because my father was always working on a Saturday, I'd go with him, on the weekend or in the summer vacation, or I'd choose to go with her. And I would hear the repetitious voice exercises that they would have to do. And that instilled in me that you're not just going to present a finished product and all of a sudden it's just there. You have to work for it. You actually have to work for it. You have to have consistency, determination. You have to love your craft. And that transferred to me. At 63 years old, these lessons are still strongly imprinted in me from a little boy. And the manners and the dignified way they carried themselves. Robert Kellum, he was a tenor. The most beautiful voice you ever want to hear, right? James Lyles, another tenor that passed away from a heart attack, and I think he was in his 30s at the time. And me being a little boy, being in your 30s, that's old. So for me now, the person who's in their 30s, they're almost a kid. So you see how relative it is. It's not about your age. It's about where you stand in this life, because we're all going to leave this level. I don't know when we leave this level if we have any remembrance of it, or like the people like to say, oh, you're looking down on us. I think there'll be other things that we have to concern ourselves about than just looking down on the madness that we have here in the world. But the precious memories I have, I would love to keep with me. If you can't take anything else, I would love to take the precious memories with me. And I have a thing about that because I love to share jokes. I love to share intimate moments with friends where you can say one word and they remember exactly what it is, and they'll crack up laughing from the time that we experienced together. It could be something funny, it could be something sad. It could be another mutual friend who's not with us anymore. But I wonder about that. I say to myself, do we remember anything? Will we have our loved ones on the next level? And I do hope and pray for that. Seriously. If I see my mother and father again when I transition, oh, what a happy time that will be. I don't know how it would be, and we're not going to be in bodies maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Many religions speak on that, but I say this, we're here on this level now. Where do we come from? We know sperm hit egg, and that was the physical manifestation. That was how the vehicle that we're in was created. But where do we come from? Were we crying because we missed where we were before on a spiritual level? Or did we have no knowledge of being catapulted into this world? See, so I've always thought things like this, because right now we have so many distractions in this world, and it's kind of taken away from us forming real good memories with each other. That's what kind of sucks to me. And many of us are just escaping into scrolling, being entertained. Can you do this? Like when you drive a vehicle, you have to be completely focused. So I take living life just as serious as driving a vehicle down the highway in the fast lane. You better stay focused, because life is so precious. You don't want to make the wrong move on the highway. Somebody cuts you off and, let me tell you about that. Mr. Scurv and I were going down to South Florida to the homegoing of a very close friend of mine. Brother, if you listen, and you know, And I believe during the service or after the service was over, I spoke to him about this accident that my wife and I experienced. And it was like unlike anything that I experienced in my entire life. We were on the highway driving south. I don't know whether it's 95 or the turnpike. I believe it was a turnpike at some point. At Florida Turnpike. And there was a car on the left lane, the fast lane. This is at nighttime because we grabbed a hotel the night before so we can wake up and come to the service. So this car driving right next to me kind of veered off to the left near the rails that separated us from the opposite traffic that's coming our way, but on the opposite side. So it went down into the dirt, and it was kind of on a grade, so it went down. We saw the dirt getting kicked up, and we said to ourselves, what is this guy doing? So now the guy swerves in front of us, and I slow down. So he's zigzagging in my lane in front of me, probably about, I'd say 2 car lengths ahead of me. So he's zigzagging. And he kept zigzagging so much that he turned the wheel trying to correct. I could see that's what he was doing. And he turned it hard to the left, but all the car did was turn sideways, and the momentum kept going, so he started to roll over. I mean, sideways, rolling over. The top hit the ground and rolled over in front of me. I didn't slam the brakes because I know not to do that, but I pressed the brakes so I can put some distance between this man because it was rolling and it started bouncing a little bit. Now you would think that was it. I will never forget this. This is just the beginning, y'all. So now somehow it stopped rolling sideways, and it was glass breaking and everything, and it just kept rolling. You would think that it would slow down. So now it just swerved to the right. Now all the cars on the highway at this point had slowed down, not to a stop, but very slow. And this car went down into the service road, the dirty part, but it went down deep, like there was some type of stream to the side of the highway. And it was like a grade going up and then a huge wall, like to separate a subdivision from the noise of the highway. But there was a lot of land between that part of the stream part. And I say stream because usually on the side of the highway in those areas, you have that. Wouldn't you believe this car never lost speed? It was like some unseen hand kept pushing this car. It flipped over into the low part, and then it kind of climbed up. I'm lying to you not. I have to share this. And then it got up near the wall, and then it was hitting the front part of the car. It jumped up and landed on the back. And this is sideways. And I could see some type of flames on the inside of the vehicle, maybe coming from under the hood, but it kept bouncing, going. And we're driving now to normal speed. We didn't see it stop. We just kept going. Where did all of this force come from? It didn't make any sense. So, many things I've observed, many things I've seen, many things I've experienced. And this wasn't about the way I took it, like, oh, that's unfortunate, it's an accident. There is no way that car had all of this momentum because he wasn't going that fast. We were going highway speed, maybe 70 miles an hour. But even when it was flipping over in front of me, it should have slowed down. Where did it get this momentum? You see, there's certain things that can happen in this world that you just can't logically explain. It's just not going to happen. And it makes you sit back for a second and think. And you have to think why things happen, how they happen. That was physically impossible by all laws of physics on how that happened. And so now when we can explain things, we start to go into the surreal, or we just say, oh, it's just demonic, or it's something. It's something. What I've learned, or I can't say I come to the conclusion, but these other worlds of existence, when people speak about the afterlife, whatever it may be, it's a different frequency. I'm believing to embrace that. And many religions don't say that, but they don't debunk that either. Like, I've seen many videos that have piqued my interest that I already went there mentally thinking about it, that they say that if you really saw what was around you, most of us would freak out. Because things vibrate on different frequencies, and if it's vibrating on a different frequency, you can't see it. There are realms and worlds around us. And sometimes I'm beginning to believe that when certain entities from different realms, and this may not always be good, slow down their vibration, you might catch a glimpse of it. Maybe I'm losing you from the sentimental way that I started talking, but I'm still free-flowing. But we will find out. And to be honest, I'm in no rush. But there are things that I have seen that could not have been of this realm, I'll say that. And I'm more of a person who feels things. See, I feel people. I am extremely sensitive. I don't mean sensitive where you say something the wrong way, I'm going to cry because I'm sensitive. Not that kind of sensitive. But I'm very sensitive to energy. And many of us go on what we see. Oh, you're smiling, so you must be a nice person. But I can see past that. I've always been that way. I might choose to shut up and not upset the apple cart of the illusion that a person is trying to create. But I already know when I see deceit, when I see venom, evil, all of that stuff. That's why it's easy for me to prefer solitude as opposed to the crowds. Because I remember years ago, I used to do these shows and have all of these people come on and all of these guests, and some were nice, some were, I already knew what it was anyway. I said, okay, it'll be a year or two. This one will last a year or two. This one will last 6 months, whatever. You know, I already know. But where I find myself now is so golden. It's so golden. Because let me tell you something. This internet, this cyberspace, people talk about the occult and occultic practices. Well, I remember I had a classmate. I think her name was Gina. Yeah, it was Gina. And I think she was from either South America or somewhere. So she spoke openly about her family's use of the Ouija board. And if you don't know what that is, it's hard to explain. But this thing moves your hands to certain letters or something, and it tells you some mystical whatever in your life. Okay, no problem. That's what you do, that's what you do. But she was really into it. Really into it. And another experience is when we had tenants in the house, because the house we lived in was a converted 2-family home. Many of the other ones were 1 family, but it was converted to 2 legally. So when we moved into Queens in September of 1968, when I was 5.5 years old, there were already tenants there. And I remember a young girl named Adrienne White. She was my age. I think she was a year younger than me. But remember, you know, I was 5.5 years old. So they stayed for a couple years and they moved to another state, maybe Chicago or somewhere, Illinois or Detroit, somewhere like that. We lost contact. But then we had another set of tenants. Their last name was Hooper, the Hoopers. And I remember the wife was very attractive. I think at a young age, I had some kind of crush on her. I just liked the way she looked. And the husband was a straight up kind of alpha acting male, if you can call him that. And I remember it was time for them to leave, but they tried to stay longer. My father had to speak with Mr. Hooper, and Hooper was younger than my father a little bit. So he thought that he could overpower my father. My father stood his ground. He was trying not to make it get physical, but my father was still very strong and very physical and could have done him in. Now, I'm not saying that because he's my father. I've seen my father knock people out, provoked, But, he tried to de-escalate everything. And there was someone who came to my mother and they knew the situation. And they eventually got out, but this person was saying, well, if you take this powder that I give you, and when they're gone, sprinkle it around their door, they'll be out within 48 hours. And so my mother was not into that. She knew what time it was, and she kind of, declined in a kind manner, diplomatic way. But they were out within 72 hours anyway. I don't know what my father did or said, but they were out. But this shows you how not only what we think about in the afterlife or the other realms, and when people talk about heaven or hell, all these different things. And sometimes it can be very confusing. But the one thing most of us neglect is the hell. And I think of the world as a wonderful place from within my own world as I was brought up. But that world is not there anymore. There's another force, and more things have been allowed to permeate our realm now on this level. That's why we feel this way. There's more evil entities. There's more evil in people. And it's not so much the things that go bump in the night that you have to really look at. It's the people who have the smiles on their face, who are demons walking the earth. And they hate to be identified. And when you have this gift of discernment and you keep your mouth shut, because it's not like you're going to just blurt it out that you sense that a person is not too kosher. But even those entities, they know that you can see them. And when I say entities, I'm talking about the people around you and me, your coworkers, your neighbors, the people you bump into in the supermarket or public transportation or the doctor's office or just at the beach. I'm not saying everybody, because most are distracted. And those entities don't bother them because they have them tied up mentally to not see what's around. That's the game. But when they know that you can see them, oh, the war is on and popping, because you're a threat now, because you see something going down in motion. And it could be somebody who was formerly close to you. Now they have to smear your name. Now they have to try to smear your reputation and get ahead of you because they know what they have on the inside of themselves. It's a lot of that going on in the world. So when I come back to do my music therapy and play old songs like Dr. Buzzard's or Bizarre or Buzzard, whatever you want to call it, original Savannah Band, and the imagination and the beautiful world that it helped me to have along with my upbringing, the music, the arts, doing dignified things. Me and my buddy Angelo, I had to put his name in there again. Early on, we would go to Manhattan and go to the music shops. We go to the bookstores. You know, he was into making his Super 8 movies with claymation. We set up something in my basement and we were doing some things. Special effects. You know, we got into doing amateur movies with the brothers Ron and Tony Carpenter. They called themselves the Hollywood Art Brothers, and they would submit their films into amateur film competitions. And yours truly, I'm not going to say I was a star, but I had some big roles in some of them. I would love to get that footage. I would love to get that footage from when I was like 15, 16, 17. I think the last time I was in one of them, it was in the early 80s. Yeah. And it was funny. It was fun. And we need more constructive things for our youngsters to do. Heck, we need more constructive, creative things for our grown folks to do. Things that you put your hands on. Things that you create. I got my table set up the way I wanted. It's been a little delay. I have my table here in the studio for doing my recordings, my live shows and everything. And I got my other table over there with my drawing pad on it, my lights set up. I'm not going to start tomorrow. I got these guys to do another day of work, the crew that's been here all day. But I'm going to play my music like I did years ago, which was a record player growing up, 45 RPM or 33 1/3 RPM wax discs. And I had a heck of a collection of music. And we'd go and get the 45s. So a lot of the songs that I play now, I had already as wax. And I'd play it and I'd draw. And the weekends would come, you see a Muhammad Ali boxing match or any other boxing match, Sugar Ray Leonard or a whole slew of different fighters. And I love some boxing. I love some boxing. My father took me to the closed circuit viewing of Ali Foreman in 1974. The Rumble in the Jungle. I think I'm getting sleepy now, right? I never mix those things up. And just to see that live in the movie theater. And my friend Kevin told me that his father brought him to see it too. So we all were sitting up in the movie theater the same time, but we haven't met yet. And he's another brother who I speak with daily. And I know his family like mine. What golden times. What golden times. And they're still with me today. And I find myself, I'm going to admit, sometimes I'm here by myself and I cry tears of joy, absolute joy, for the times that not only just my parents afforded me, but the parents of other friends, the families, the love, and the continuity of you having to respect older people. You know, you can't say things to them or do anything foul in their presence, and they catch you, or you're in trouble because they're going to tell your parents. And you can't get mad at them for telling because that's the way it's supposed to be. We've lost community. We don't have it anymore. You can't tell a young kid these days anything. They're going to cuss you out all up under your clothes. They might be 12 or 13 years old and they'll do it. Not everyone. Kudos to the ones who have decency in their DNA from young. But it's a different ball game these days. And it was beginning to be quite painful for me living in America and seeing these changes. It wasn't just about the diminishing dollar or the crime rate or the racism or police brutality. Yes, that's always been, but it's getting worse. And it's not that I left, well, because children are very disrespectful to adults, but that is one of the ultimate signs and indications of a society that's being torn apart. And it's happening so slow that we don't feel it. We don't see it. It's like the lobster in the cold water or the frog in the cold water that has a fire under it. And it's heating up so slow that they don't even realize it. They're still alive. And it comes a point where you say, hey, this feels good and this is warm, but this is getting a little too hot. Hey, this is burning me. But before it could burn me, I was out. See? And for those who say I ran? I ran to where things are supposed to be, even though here in West Africa, they have their issues, they have their political issues, they have their esteem issues because of colonialism. But that's easy pickings compared to how the tension is in the West. Because I want that good old feeling that I had when I was younger. And maybe I stand accused, but I have built my own world and my own existence to retreat to, like the cell phone, the smartphone has the stand or the plug to recharge it up. This is why I have a renewed sense of a desire to be creative. That's where it's at, y'all. Be yourself. I mean, it doesn't mean you have to get a paintbrush or a pencil and a pen and draw pictures. But be creative with your life. Find something you love to do. That's the best thing you can do. Don't worry about what other people have. Don't worry about the possessions they possibly could have gotten in an illegal manner. I'm not saying anybody who might have more than you, they're all doing something bad. Maybe not. But that shouldn't matter. Connect with yourself. Look within. I'm not telling anybody to be reclusive. But too many of us, if you're honest, if you're really, really honest, you'll admit, and this is not for everybody, but too many people, I'll say, from my speculation, have become strangers to themselves. Yes. Today, we had about 5 guys here doing some work, carpentry, electrician, who was here with his 2 helpers and doing phenomenal work. And when I stepped away, because I'm not going to stand over you, that's rude. But periodically I would, kind of walk by and check what's going on, ask a question here or two, make a correction maybe. If I see something going in the direction that I didn't, that I wasn't paying for, like, hey, I don't want it that way. You got to do that. When I came back inside, I went up to the top floor and lay down for 15 minutes and came back down to the studio. It's kind of wandering in a way because I had multiple things to do and I was kind of settling in on that. When I got in the studio, I was thinking about a funny little episode, which is too long to talk about right now. There's nothing important, but it was just a funny moment between friends. And when one of my friends, he said something because he was very annoyed and it was funny. So what he said, I kept saying it over and over. I was down here and I was like remembering that. And that had to be back in maybe 79, 80. If it was 1980, my God, that was 46 years ago. And the thought is still fresh in my head. So I was down here cracking up, hysterically laughing at it. I was about to call my friend and remind him of that time. He remembers that day. Clear as day. Clear as day. And it was so funny. Do the children today, do the youngsters today, do the adults today hold memories like that? We all hold memories, but something that could make us really have a gut-busting laugh. We need more of that. And we need to afford our children to have more of that. And we need to have our children know themselves And we can't stop them from being themselves. If they want to create, if they want to pursue something, all you have to do is support it. And they may change their mind. Don't get mad. Let them sample. I had guitar lessons and got real good. I had piano lessons and got real good. We had a piano in the house, so I practiced 24/7. After a while, I didn't like it. I like to draw. And there were certain periods in my life when I let that go, especially when I got into bodybuilding. I was this much from going to City College and did some apprentice work under Paul Friedberg and Associates. You can Google that name. He did most of the structures in the Chinese Olympics. But many people don't know that about me. And it was okay. But I didn't really like it. And that's okay. Do you go into a shoe store and walk straight to a certain pair of shoes, buy them and walk out? No, what do? You try on different shoes. So even as adults, we shouldn't be so hard on ourselves, because if you're 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, when we get to my age around 63, pretty much, oh yeah, okay, your mold is set. Meaning, like when you set concrete and you first pour it, a person can put their foot in there or carve their name in there because the mold is not set. And after it's set, you can walk on it and it's not going to change. Well, I don't really subscribe to that. I believe we should be pliable even as we get older. We shouldn't be so set in stone, because that's what kills us. A lot of us get older and we're too rigid. It's just one way. I'm open to a lot of things. The world is a wonderful place, and I want to explore new ways to create new good people, not these smiling faces. Smiling faces sometimes pretend to be your friend. Listen, don't puke because you heard me try to sing. I can't sing like my mother. I wouldn't want to sing like a woman. I'm just saying I didn't have that degree of talent. But a lot of us don't know ourselves. We are strangers to ourselves. We're walking around with ourselves, lonely. If you know yourself, you can never be lonely. You're one person. I'm not saying you have these two separate, and we have multiple sides of our personalities. But when in doubt, invest in yourself. I wrote an article many years ago, and I think I uploaded it to the present LanceScurvX.com or LanceScurv.com, which they both go to the same place. But the title was, when was the last time you took yourself out on a date? When was the last time that you went and treated yourself to, and of course, we have to go with what we can afford. I'm just saying this symbolically. Never feel guilty for treating yourself to a nice outfit. Never feel guilty for treating yourself to that 5-star restaurant or whatever it is that you want to eat. We spend money on so many other people, and people siphon money out of us with their little games and tricks and fake emergencies. Treat yourself. So many people might look at that as though it's a crime for you to treat yourself right, but it's not. You have to take care of yourself first. You have to get that glow back. I'm not saying you lost it, but living in this world, it can be greatly reduced. That inner glow where you can crack up at a memory to yourself, and it's so satisfying. But you can play a song and it can take you not only back. See, that good feeling is not about the past. You may have experienced it first in the past, but it's with you and it's the present. You see? You should think of it that way. Because when you start thinking about the good times in the past, you're telling yourself the present doesn't have the same value and worth. So we have to go back. You're here now. This is a present that you should find good moments in and enjoy. Yes, times can be hard. You might be a little tired from working so much. We might be pinching pennies a little bit because things are tight. I understand that. But if you get around a person who has a similar spirit and you share a laugh, regardless, and when you look back, many of the good times that we've had, we didn't have all the money we may have wanted. We might have been going through a tight period. When you really think about it, you might have more than you ever had before in your entire life, right now. And you may not be as joyous as when you were striving and what people call broke. Isn't that something? The folks sitting on the front stairs of an apartment building in a neighborhood that's not known for being affluent. And one or two of the people might be drinking beer. There might be some old folks out there, and you see them cracking up. You're like, wait a second. Some people will say, oh, I'm living better than most of those folks over there. They don't have much. Guy sitting over there with a hole in his shorts, a hole in his tank top, missing a few teeth. Looked like he didn't shave in 2 days. And he's cracking up over there. Got a big pot belly. Look at him. And look at the lady sitting on the steps talking to him. She looked like she got her shoes somewhere. I don't know. Looks like they're 2 sizes too big, and she got the wig sitting on the side of her head, and she's cracking up. She got a striped dress, a polka dot shirt, an old coat. It's not taking her from joy. That's what we had before, and we seem to have lost it because we're chasing the illusion of what success is, and we're chasing this thing that we could never put on our hand. Like the song, Chasing Rainbows. I'm chasing rainbows like a butterfly, zooming through the sky. Hey, can you grab the rainbow? No. And that's when the rainbow wasn't used to represent the activities that some do. But you can lay back and you can watch the rainbow and be in awe of it and appreciate it and enjoy it while you have it. But we have all of these standards in our head that don't really exist. Sure, you can get a promotion on the job. Sure, you can go and purchase a brand new home in a nice neighborhood. Sure, these things are happening. They're getting a little tougher to attain. But now it seems like we're solely focused on the things that we can put our hands on. When the laugh was free, for me, there's such a storehouse of memories. Oh man, because I collect memories as they're happening, and now I can open them up in the present and enjoy it now. So it's not just the past, it's the present. That energy of happiness never dies when you know how to keep it, no matter how many people try to destroy you and take joy thinking they have destroyed you. And they're mad at you because their storehouse of memories are not as good as yours. It's sad. You're not saying you're better than anybody. But what you have in your heart that was fed into you, like in my example, is precious. I'm not afraid to be quiet, although I do talk a lot. Yes, I know that. But I'm not afraid to meditate. Me being able to get in front of a mic and just talk? How am I going to title this segment? I don't know. I just felt to talk about something, and I'm flowing. My mind is clear. I can do that. This is not a projection. This is not me trying to look and sound and put myself up as this person. No, I'm just a regular dude vibing with you, sharing some things that I've learned in life and some experiences and some perspectives. That's all. This is a journey. Why don't you enjoy it? Do you go on a cruise and lock yourself in a room with anger, mad at the world? No. Even if you don't know the people on the cruise, go out there by the buffet and eat. You might strike up a conversation with somebody nice. My dear beautiful sister Customato. I call her Customato. She's a woman. She's a beautiful woman, wise sister, and she's a life coach to me, right? She went on a cruise and shared some of the videos with me, and her mother was with her dancing, 80 years old, having a ball, playing some good old music. Come on now. As a matter of fact, I was playing some, I don't even remember what song it was. Oh, it was Jungle Fever by the Chakachas or whatever. It's kind of like this woman moaning in the heat, and they had these strong beats, and I was down here dancing, and the electrician came down the stairs, and he was looking for me, and I saw his shoulder come toward the door, and I stopped dancing. I said, oh, I don't want to get caught. I was down in the, look, I learned some moves today that I didn't know I had in me, and I got to practice them because I kind of like that. I want to remember them because I'm gonna cut a fool when it comes time when I go to the next party or social gathering. We got to be multifaceted and know ourselves and know what we like and take ourselves out, groom ourselves, treat ourselves, and say it, And if you have a significant other, you still should do that to keep yourself in tune with yourself, right? If you have a wife, you have a woman in your life, as a man, I'm going to say it this way. Let her have her time to dolly herself up and try different outfits on and tell her how beautiful she is and let her see herself at her best. She might be working 6 days a week and tired and dogged out, and she has a few days off. Let her rest and let her feel herself. Let her shift her gears. Comfort her, make her feel secure, make her feel safe. Focus on her. Make her the star of your show because she should be. Many men today don't even know how to do that anymore. It's all about clapping cheeks. Huh? That's wonderful. When you have something to clap about, do you go to the play and sit up and look at a blank stage and after about an hour and a half, start clapping? Good performance. There was no performance. So how you want to go and get intimate with a woman when you have nothing to talk about? When you're not planning on building something together? You're just a glorified friction provider, like I like to say. And yes, I coined that term. So if you hear it anywhere else, they owe me some money. But we've gotten away from how the energy was. And like I said, because there's so much evil across the face of this earth, and it's projected through social media, and we just eat it up. We just soak it up and spit it back out. So we're walking around hostile in a certain state of mind that we picked up from this portal called the screen, the blue screen, the phone, the computer, has become occultic, controlling our minds. Be careful what you put in your mind when you're mindlessly scrolling. Be careful. You just don't go eat anywhere. You don't know what you'll put in your stomach. You don't go lay up with just anybody. You don't know what diseases they have. They might have the physical diseases and they may have the spiritual diseases, right? Like I said in that classic article that I wrote 16 years ago about spiritually transmitted demons. Spiritually transmitted demons. You go lay up with somebody, you picking up their trauma, you're picking up their anxiety, you're picking up their sorrow, you might be picking up their evil spirit, their hate. Yes, they have good people out there too, but if you're good, for the most part, and you lay up with something that looks good, and this goes for either sex, you don't know what you're picking up. You lay up with somebody and all of a sudden you feel depressed for the next day because you have now a soul tie. And there's so much working on so many different levels that we cannot see. I'm back on that now, but seriously, look below the surface. Take care of yourself, protect yourself. It's like a boxing match where they say, protect yourself at all times. I don't care what anybody says. You can have your beautiful life, but when you step out there, protect yourself and protect your thoughts. Protect your thoughts. Like a time release pill that you take that releases over time. You know, when you get those types of pills, like vitamins and it's time release, it's a little more expensive because it's formulated to release over time, making it easier to absorb the whole thing. If you get a vitamin C tablet that's not time release, it's just gonna rush your system. You're not gonna digest it all, and your urine will have this crazy color. Most of you know what I'm talking about, right? So be careful out here with the energies that you embrace, take in your life, who you talk to, what you tell about your plans that they're going to try to sabotage. You just don't know. Life is wonderful, but also it can be an obstacle course. Just keep your eyes open and get into yourself. Play a song that you love from back in the day, whatever back in the day means to you, that brings you happiness and joy. I was a little boy. Well, I mean, I was 13 years old when Dr. Buzzard's original Savannah Band came out. But in the 70s, at that time, you still had your childhood. And yes, at 13 years old, you know, in between. But you're not a man. You're not a grown woman. And I was still a child. And I still do have a childlike, I don't mean immature, but a childlike pliability to my spirit and my perspective on the world. And this is what keeps me jolly. This is what keeps me happy. And I look forward to every single day. And it's reflecting more and more in the joy that I feel in my life. And you will have people who are pissed off at that, but they need to do their own work and look within and be very honest with themselves. I had to be very honest with myself in my meditations and work on things, and I'm still working on things. So what can I say? Anyway, could you help me title this particular segment? I don't know what to call it. Yes, I do. I know I'm going to go with this. But just know that I'll be doing more of these where I kind of share some deep thoughts and keep you company, whether you're cleaning or cooking or getting ready to doze off and go to sleep. I'm going to do them like this sometime. It just won't always be the certain style. It'll be multiple styles. So let me know what you think. Hit me back with a comment or two. And I'll say it like I always say it. Much love to you all. LanceScurv out. Peace.